What is up, everybody? It is I, your favorite angry American, along with our usual cast of suspects, Mr. Bob Toombs, Mountain Readiness, Henry Morgenstern with Prime Combat Training, and Sue LaRue, and Tactical Rifleman, and Sue LaRue, Tactical Rifleman. And our special guest tonight is Mr. Joe Dolio of Tactical Wisdom. What's up, Joe?
Hey, not much. Same stuff, different day. So,
and indeed, every day seems like Groundhog Day. Every day. It's getting redonkulous. It's getting right. I don't like to look at the news no more. You know,
really, it's sad. It's worse every day.
It's every day. It's like, what else? What can it be today? What else is there going to be? You know, we got Alpha Charlie concepts in the house tonight too. Look at that. All right.
The bad part about the news thing is that it's getting so bad that it's unbearable to watch the news, but at the same time, it's so bad that if you don't watch the news, you have no idea what's around the corner, and that's no good.
Yeah, you risk getting caught with your shorts down. You know, that's not good. So, as usual, guys, we're gonna do a little giveaway tonight. Let me find my thingy for it. It's here someplace. Somewhere. Actually. I'm gonna Russ throw that the hashtag. There we go. Thank you. That's it. I don't even know where the hell that lives. So tonight's giveaway is hashtag Fieldcraft. So put hashtag Fieldcraft in your comment, and later in the evening here we'll do a random draw, and the computer does it, not one of us, for a copy of Joe's book, his second book, Fieldcraft. So let's show it. Yeah, let's put Joe up there and show that real quick. There we go. That one right there. So
Fieldcraft, second book in the series. About outdoor skills and secure camping and all that kind of stuff. So we'll send you an autographed copy. Cool stuff.
Yeah. There we go. So hashtag Fieldcraft, guys, and then you're entered to in the drawing, and we'll give it away here in a little bit. So Joe, what have you been up to lately, man? What do you had going on? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
I spent some time hanging out with my my usual partner in thought crime, NC Scout, down there at this last RTO course. It's always awesome to see newly interested people in preparedness get out there and build their own antenna and then make a long range contact, and just the look on their faces and the amazement they have at what they can do with cheap off the shelf equipment. You don't need the high tech stuff. So spending a lot of time doing that. And we actually just did a get together with a bunch of fans of the Future Conflict show in Louisville.
Yeah, I wish I could have made that. I really wanted to be there, but wasn't possible.
Yeah, schedules sometimes are tough, but we had a great time. Much people came out, had lunch with us, and we did kind of a live version of the show, and a good time was had by all. So, same stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely a thought criminal, but then everybody here is too. So
everyone here is, yeah.
And see, guys, Joe is a ham radio operator. T, do you have your ham license?
Be studying for that come October. Studying being the key word.
Supposed to be being the key word.
Right.
Yeah.
Mel's going to beat me out, I think is what's going to happen. Mel's going to get it first.
We'll see. Emery, do you have your ham license?
I do not. It's actually something Sue and I have been discussing a bunch lately.
All right. It's not just me then. I'm good. All right.
No, but see, here's the thing. Sue being one of my best friends is, for those of you guys who don't know, he's an 18 Echo. Yeah, I'm doing this publicly, Sue. He's an 18 Echo, which means he was trained as a
was good anyway, so go for it.
And ask him what he knows. Just ask him what he knows. Come on, Chris T. Ask him. Hey, Sue.
Sue's a radio guy. He's a team radio guy. You know,
I'd have to do a retest in Morse code, but no.
You'd have to do a retest on the alphabet.
Yeah, and when Emery asked me if I had my ham license, and I said I got my hand license, he's like, "No ham." I said, "No hand." That's the story of my sex life. I do hand. I got a hand license.
Sue's got a ham license, and that's why
hand license. So, no, I do not have my ham radio operator's license. I did study a little bit in the Q course and everything. And to be quite honest with you guys, I always thought communication was rather boring. But in this venue, now that we're looking at, I went to the Q course back in the late 80s, early 90s. I never envisioned what social media is today. And all the disinformation and all the lack of information and the pure disfactual information that's out there, it's almost like I'm ready. I'm ready to get a ham license so I can actually hear about some real events and get some factual stuff on the networks and stuff like that. Matter of fact, I don't know if you guys getting this, the Epoch News. I'd like an opinion on that. Anybody out there know what this Epoch News offered? They said you deserve the real news, and they're offering. I've read a couple of these now, and it's pretty good information. Do you guys see the Epoch News at all?
I follow them online, but I don't get the newspaper.
Yeah, I follow them online.
So I'm online. Of course, I'm a big Forward Observer fan as well.
Yeah,
They've got a lot of good stuff out there.
they do. It's actually for the price. It's a fantastic subscription, Forward Observer. So
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Mike and Wes, those guys are doing a fantastic job. I've known Mike for years too. When he first got into it, I knew him. And he's come leaps and bounds in the info they're putting out, which is exceptionally good information. So I highly recommend those guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the article that just
One thing about the Epic News there is that, I've read a few of their things. I don't have a subscription or anything, but I mean, they get out and they put a lot of stuff out, and a lot of it strikes me as, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seems fair, seems legit. But what I will say though, that bugs me, and it bugs me about pretty much everything today, is that they market themselves as neutral, just the news. Let's be honest here, guys. It's anything but neutral, right?
yeah,
They're on the side we prefer, but they're not
Yeah.
neutral, right? Just wanted to
that's
say that.
big problem
somebody-
out there
somebody's gotta
is
spit it out.
there's no neutral news anywhere, right? You got to kind of find it yourself. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There's no such thing as journalism these days. That doesn't exist in the country. Everybody's a pundit for their preferred flavor, whatever that
Yep.
be. So,
Yep.
and that's the problem. Like which we'll talk about this in a little bit, but with the stuff with Trump, and I don't want to talk about it as far as it applies to Trump, all these prosecutions and indictments and stuff, but more as how it's affecting the country and what it's doing. I mean, we're in uncharted territory of Banana Republic nonsense now at this point, where they're just going to keep trying to prosecute this guy until they get him on one. But before we get into that, Emery, you had a question before we got started.
I do. I have a topic I want to raise.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this for two reasons. One is specifically the panel we have on today and the mixture of people and brains. And two, because I'm about to go. So I'm desert boy, right? Raised in Israel. Spent a lot of time up in the mountains. I lived in Colorado, Montana, all that. One time in my life, I have been in the jungle, and it was as a tourist. Well, I'm getting ready to go on a little jungle trip. And so I wanted to bring up here, what gear, specifically in a military context, what gear do you guys think is necessary? And I'm raising this because of interest, but like I said, also because I'm going to be making my Amazon list later tonight.
So I'd write this one down, the EBNS. Okay. It's called the Expeditionary or something bed net system. And it's a small one-man tent. It folds up pretty small. You just throw it out and it pops up, and it's a mosquito net that you sleep in. And it can be attached to a cot or staked to the ground. I wouldn't go in a jungle without it. So
Is it the type of thing you could use if you're sleeping in a hammock? Because I don't think I'd be wanting to sleep on the ground.
You can use it on a cot. I don't know that it'll attach to a hammock, but you definitely need a bug net no matter what. If you're going to use a hammock, get a hammock bug net for sure.
Yeah, get an Eagle Nest Outfitter, Emery, with the bug net, and I wouldn't get their rain fly because of the way they cut it. I like to have a 10x10 rain fly when I'm using a hammock, so you don't get rained on. And they have a bug net that fully encapsulates the Eagle's Nest Outfitter tents or hammocks, and they're great. I use them because I live in Florida and I don't sleep on the ground in the summertime in Florida at all. So I'll use a hammock and a bug net. So
I'm right.
The other thing I would recommend taking is a Grail water filter, GRAYL.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a water bottle and filter. you pull the sections apart and you fill the lower section, and then you press the top section in. The filter is actually on the bottom of the top section, and it forces the water through it. And it will purify any water you come across and make it safe to drink. So for sure would do that.
Love it.
Yeah. The only other thing I could think of, let me just look this up real quick.
I'm definitely bringing MSR stove with a lot of coffee.
Yeah, I bet you are.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah, and the hammock thing, Emery, is you're as tall as me, and tall guys do not fit well in hammocks. It is not. It looks comfortable, but it's not a comfortable rest at all for a tall guy. I mean, so if you're going to get a hammock, get one that's wide, so you can actually turn on your side and kind of get in a fetal position. Bring your legs in, because everything's going to come down through the concave, and you're going to be sleeping in the bottom. So you want that the middle section to be wide, so you can get your body in there. Because if you're trying to do legs way up here and head way up here, you're going to find that it's not a very restful sleep at all.
You know, I think, Sue, that's going to turn into probably the best tip of the night, because I've spent a bunch of nights in hammocks in my earlier life, but it was up in the mountains, and all we had was these, those mesh ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, I learned some stuff the hard way, but you don't have that choice of fetal position in those.
No.
Especially, I can't remember the name of the hammock, but there's a hammock that they've got out. I was just looking at last month that stays rigid and flat when it's suspended. I'll see if I can find it.
How carryable is it? Because we're talking military ops.
Right. No, I get it, and that's the other side. How much weight is it? How big? All this stuff. But as far as the concept, somehow this thing stays rigid where you're not folded up into like a cocoon bent in half, fetal position, ready to spoon. Yeah,
ready to spoon.
Well, Sue's not coming with
Big
me,
spoon,
so I
little
don't have
spoon, whichever one. Yeah.
Listen, tactical spooning is a thing. It's okay, as long as you're in a
That's
combat
what they say
situation.
on Naked and Afraid. I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you what, when you're in E&E and you're not allowed to have a fire, you don't really have much of another choice. It's either running or spooning.
It's either running or spooning. Yeah. That's why they call him your battle buddy,
Uh-huh.
because at night you're going to get real close with each other.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a good point that John makes. Hammocks suck for being able to keep your weapon close at hand.
Well, that's a good
actually,
point.
they don't, because
But-
I've done it. I've done it quite a bit. You're just going to stick it down between your legs,
Exactly.
and it'll live down there or off to the side of you. I've spent a lot of time in a hammock, actually, up in the Carolinas with spooning my rifle, my M4. So
Yeah.
You
And
can do it.
what I like to do is just hang that weapon right next to the tree where my hammock's tied, and I'll put the weapon in a sling right next to me there, so I can get out of the bug net and grab the weapon quickly. But it's not very close. The other thing I suggest is, if you have a fire out there, is take the ashes out of that fire and put it wherever your feet come out of that hammock, and where the trees that your hammock's tied to. Spread ashes around there so ants don't come up there and get into your hammock.
Oh, that's great.
Having ants in the hammock with you is no fun.
Well, treat the whole sleep system with permethrin before you go, Emery. Like, soak it in it. Put it in a garbage bag and spray a can of permethrin in there, and then just tie it up and leave it for a few days, and then take it out, hang it, let it dry, and that'll help for several days keep bugs away from your sleep kit. So
I like it. Sue, actually, you know exactly where I'm going. We haven't discussed this yet, but you know exactly where I'm going with our buddy Peter.
It's not really jungle. It's paradise.
It's not really jungle because there's no snakes.
Yeah, whatever. But
actually, I just found our hammock. It is Haven, Haven, lay flat hammocks. So they haven't pulled up the specs, but prices aren't bad. Pretty cool little setup.
So, Emery, what kind of combat ops are you doing in Paradise?
In Paradise, yeah, it is Hawaii. It is Hawaii. It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
We're actually doing.
Yeah.
We're doing. We're teaching.
I've done a couple of tracking classes out there, and I'll get Emery's got the picture on the phone somewhere, but I I would take out and roll up my Ranger panties and make a little oh, I don't know, breech
Banana
cloth
hammock.
out of leaves and everything. And I would roll in the mud and everything. And I was like, this is not the jungle. This isn't Panama. This isn't Colombia. You know, there's no snakes out here. There's not many ants to speak of. And it's a lot of grass and a lot of mosquitoes and things like that. But Schofield Barracks training facility or training area above Schofield Barracks. It's very steep. It's you're gonna get your butt wore out going up and down, but it's not really some of the jungles that you'll see in the Philippines or down in Panama or something like that. There's no black palm. There's not a lot of thorns. There's no snakes at all in Hawaii, and
I don't like
hopefully
snakes.
the fire won't jump over onto that island and burn your ass off to the beach either. So
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. So
Very
what we're
unfortunate.
doing, I'll give a little bit, I can't give too much info at this point, but we have a good friend, Peter Kerr. He's with TTOS. It's Tactical Tracking Operations School. And they have been awesome enough. We've been talking about this for a couple of years. They're having me out there for a course. I'm going to teach a couple of sections, and they're going to show me the ropes. They're going to start teaching me all the stuff that I never knew that I didn't know.
Nice, man. Awesome.
That's cool.
That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
So yeah. I'll have the full report on your desk in a few weeks.
Now that I know what you're doing, I don't feel bad for you at all. You
No.
Well, you don't
No.
have to feel bad for me now.
I don't. I'm saying now that I've heard that, I don't feel bad for you at all.
The
That's
worst
my
part
first
about it,
bad-
Back is my chiropractor, though.
Mm-hmm.
the worst
Yeah.
part about it is Emery and I don't have a lot of sky miles, and we're not rich. We usually have to drive everywhere. So when we go to some place like Hawaii, we get the middle seat in coach. So that's
And we
that's
don't
probably the
have
most painful
time, right?
part of the trip is the flight over there.
That's
Yeah.
brutal.
And
That
the
is
second
brutal.
most painful part of the trip is I have to come right back here for a tactical rifleman set of classes 5 days in a row, which means I don't even get to stay there and chase Howley girls. And I say, I know what that means. I'm specific.
Holy shit. Yeah, leave the locals alone, man. You got to go for the Howley girls.
Exactly.
Shit. Well, let's kind of go back to what I was talking about earlier. The thing I've been doing some pondering on the last few days and reading the news is this clearly established two-tier justice system in the country. And what I really want, like I said, I'm not so interested in what it means for Trump or the election or anything, but what it means for all of us, that we have a justice system now that has fully been weaponized. And if you're not carrying the company water, you're a target.
Yes,
300
yes.
people have been arrested as a result of the riots of 2020. Over 1,100 people have been arrested as a result of January 6th. And the sentences that have been handed down between the two groups are so disproportionate that it's laughable. January 6th participants are getting federal prison time, and most of the 2020 people that were arrested were let go with nothing, essentially. Most of the charges were dropped later. Nothing ever happened to them. So we see that there's a clearly established two-tier system in place now. And if you are guilty of wrongthink, which now there's even speculation going around that media personalities that kind of supported what was being done in DC on the 6th are also going to face prosecution. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but I mean, they're going after the lawyers, they're going after everybody. So, what does that really mean for us, for the citizens of the country who currently disagree with the current administration? And there now exists a real chance you could actually face jail time for what you think or say about them. And I just wanted to get y'all's take on that. And if you guys have even turned that over in your heads any.
Oh yeah, I've thought a lot about this. I mean, this really tears me up because like T, I've been when I'm not in the service, when I wasn't in the army, I was usually doing construction and things like that. And what I found was that what this prosecutor is doing down in Fulton County, Georgia, is kind of like the hall monitor telling the governor that you can't come to our school, or you came to our school and I'm going to hold you in contempt for it. I mean, this is ridiculous, and it goes across all agencies, especially at the federal level, but into the state and the local levels, even the county levels. You got these people who are using regulatory things to actually prosecute regular American citizens. And they have power, and they come in there and they throw things around. I can remember one time I was just recently out in Moore County, North Carolina. I was actually holding some mules for a good friend of mine who was going through a divorce. He didn't have the land, and the land was in dispute with the divorce. So I say, I bring your mules over here. I got 7 acres, and I got the fencing and stuff like that. I had a county wildlife or a county wildlife officer come over and tell me I had to put a turnout for the mules. And I was like, those mules have never been under shade in their life. Those mules are fine. And he goes, you do what I say, or and I said, bring back a statute and I'll follow it. He tried to bring me back something that was basically from kind of a it was what do you call it? When a bunch of people get together, a homeowners agreement. It was a homeowners agreement, a homeowners association. Yeah, he brought me back a rule out of a homeowners association. I said, that's not a state law, and you can't hold me to that. I'm not part of that homeowners agreement and homeowners association. And he says, you do as I say, or I'll come back and I'll come get the mules. I'll confiscate the mules. And I'm looking at him like, how can you do that? But that must be exactly what Trump feels like, for a county prosecutor to hold us, to throw charges not only on an acting president of the United States, but his advisors, 18 of them, and want to try it all. And I see it as nothing more than election interference. Notice this is a 4th indictment, and that they're all flim flam, straight out of places where Trump did not win the election, or come even close to winning the electoral votes in those districts. And every single one of them got together and they said, well, let's hold these during the primary. I mean, if they had a problem with this and it had anything to do with January 6th, why wasn't it brought up 24 months ago?
I'll tell you, I was in the TCF Center that election night, and there was definitely, here in Detroit, there was definitely fraud going on. But what the media is not reporting to everyone is that late last night, the Fulton County prosecutor retracted the whole thing and said, the indictment's not done yet. That was a test we were running, and it accidentally got released. In other words, public opinion ate them alive, and they decided to walk it back. So what's funny, though, is that the media didn't cover that as crazily as they did when they said Trump's been indicted again.
They never do. They never do. Let's take a quick break, guys. We're going to throw a promo in here, shameless plugs. Let's get this out of the way real fast. We'll be right back. Russ, run that thing because I can't find it. I see it down there, but it's not working. Thankfully, we have the man behind the mirror, and it'll help me out here.
Firearms Depot with my good buddy John Faulkner. This may look like a little deja vu to some of you guys.
Right.
It's been a while since we've been on camera together.
We made a couple videos.
We made a couple videos together. Yeah.
So.
And you guys don't know, but we've got the glorious Nikki behind the camera again today. It's like old times.
Yeah,
Yeah. So how's the firearms industry, man? You stepped out of one. You're in a new thing now.
Yeah.
Still the same thing, but
yeah. Owner operator of firearmsdepot.com.
You guys hear me talk about it all the time.
I have a fantastic crew.
He does.
That I've worked with for a long time here, and we've been doing absolutely amazing.
And you have a whole other side of this operation that probably most people don't even know about, and that's the custom safes, vault rooms, all that stuff.
Yeah. So own multiple businesses. Firearms Depot being the largest.
Yeah.
But then I also have a company called TK422 Customs, where we make really high-end custom safes and vault rooms that we travel all across America installing these things.
Yes.
And it's a super cool business. I have an amazing crew.
And you can work with the client, see what their vision is for what they want, and then you bring a whole nother level of stuff to that. There's video screens, there's bars in these things.
Yeah.
There's everything in these vaults.
Yeah, pretty much whatever you're looking for, we pretty much have
One-stop shop for all your firearms and firearms-related needs.
That's right.
Give them the website, John.
Firearmsdepot.com.
There you go, guys. hit the link, check it out, and start saving some money on your gun stuff and support an awesome company.
Appreciate it.
Strange. I love. Yeah, that's a good friend of mine. He owns an awesome company. If you guys need gun-related stuff, hit him up, firearmsdepot.com. He don't pay me. He's cheap, but I love him. He's like a brother to me, and so I support everything he does. So, but anyway, yeah, back to what we were saying. It's funny that the court of public opinion roasts them, and they suddenly, oh, that's not what we meant to say, you know.
Yeah.
And then too, the one up in New York, Bragg, you know, up there, that judge is handling that one. Basically said she doesn't give a crap about Trump's First Amendment rights, that she's going to muzzle him during his trial. And they're trying to set him up essentially for a contempt of court charge where he'll go out and say something. And the judge will come back later and say, well, you shouldn't have said that because I told you not to talk about these things, you know, and they're going to hit him with a contempt of court. It just any way they can to get him.
Again, that's election interference. Anything he tries to do during the election, they're going to try to shut him down. Yeah. So,
You know, I did a
I don't
video
even
the other
think it's
day where
just-
I told everyone you have to realize that as much as the Constitution says you have the freedom of speech, you don't anymore, and you have to stop operating as if you do.
Yes.
It's time to realize you have to play on the field you're on, not the one you wish. The Constitution is a fantastic piece of paper, well written, and I think God inspired. But it's only as good as we are willing to hold them to it. And that's where we've gone wrong.
No.
well,
Agreed,
and Joe,
Joe.
that's where we have to get back to passive resistance and even active resistance. We need to get up and start get on the sidewalks. We should all be on the sidewalks of the Fulton County Courthouse and saying, hey, no, this isn't going to fly, because like Thomas Jefferson said, it takes it. And I hate it when everybody, especially look at all the things that Hillary said after the 2016 election. Same thing,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
This
Same exact
wasn't
stuff.
fair. This isn't democracy. And you can win the nominee and you can go to the election until somebody steals it. That's not democracy. Well, it's not a democracy. It's called a republic. And like Thomas Jefferson said, it takes an educated populace to hold a republic. And we need to educate ourselves, and we need to do passive and active resistance, including getting on sidewalks and letting the people know that this isn't going to fly with over half of the United States people in the United States. I mean, this is crazy. And,
Can I
I
get
think
two
that's
quick
part of-
points on what you just said? Two quick
Jump
points.
on,
One
Joe.
is Thomas Jefferson also said we need a little revolution every 20 years or so to remind the politicians who their masters are. So that's one. Number two is I'm going to go with somebody else's quote, and it's James. In James 4:17, it says this: if a man knows the good he ought to do and does not do it, it will count as sin for him. Brothers, we know the good we ought to be doing, and we're not doing it. So
Everybody's afraid to be the first guy. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to
that's
be
true.
the first guy.
that's
and we
exactly
may have
right.
had-
Everybody's
I
afraid to
don't
be the
think
first
he
guy.
planned
Yeah.
Yeah, we may have had the first guy the other day. The poor old 75-year-old fellow the FBI took
If
out.
y'all thought he was actually going to shoot the FBI, then I can't help you, right?
Oh no, I know he wasn't going to shoot him. And if the FBI actually thought he was going to do anything to Biden, it's absurd. Going back to again what happened after Hillary lost the election. How many times did she say illegitimate president? How many Hollywood figures stood up on stage holding the fake severed head of Trump, or Madonna saying she's been thinking about killing Trump, or Johnny
he's not
Depp
my
talking about
president.
killing
Yeah,
Trump.
yeah.
He's not
On
my
Broadway,
president.
they did a play of stabbing Trump, right?
Yeah. They made a movie out of killing. They made a movie out of killing
Like
Trump.
Yeah.
I think the whole
Yeah.
point, though,
Yeah.
is that the past few years, these things have been used as to set an example. Here's what happens to you if you do resist, if you do protest. I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on this gig. They are using Trump to set an example of, look, we can even mess with this guy. So all you guys, you little guys out there, just think about what's going to happen to you if you push back.
And that's the point I was making about talking about this right now. Is how it affects us. And what it does is it makes everybody chill their own speech. We're all self-censoring, which is what they want. Just by the specter of what they could do to you. And they're laughing their asses off about it because it's working.
You're exactly
That's
right.
where
I
the
mean,
lack of
that's the
attendance
reason
at
they're
your
going
training
after
classes
Trump.
comes from too. Yeah.
Yeah, the
What'd you
reason
say,
they're
Sue?
going after Trump is he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He can afford these lawyers and everything. How many of us can afford one lawyer, one court case at a time? You know, yeah, I'm in an estate battle with my stepsister, and I'm going pro se because the estate isn't worth the lawyer fees. I mean, that's why they're going after Trump,
That's what's happening.
because yeah, most people can't afford justice in this country right now. We can't afford the $500 an hour it takes to have justice in this country. That's the bottom line.
No, we can't. And that's what they know. They know that they can bring the entire power of the state down on people, and you simply don't possess the ability to resist because they've got unlimited resources, and the average person simply doesn't. You know, it's like the one dude. There was a guy that stole the lectern out of Nancy Pelosi's office. He goes by the lectern guy on Twitter now, and he lives over in Tampa. And when you hear him tell his story, it's laughable, like that he was convicted of that. And he didn't do anything violent. No, I mean, 99% of the people there, 99.9% of the people there didn't do anything violent. And the only person that lost their life was one of them.
Most of the charges were trespassing on government property.
Mm-hmm.
And like Joe said, you know, we are the arbiters of the government. I mean, we're the masters. How is that trespassing on government property when we own the government? We, the people, means
It's
something.
literally called the
That
people's
capital
house,
is
right?
our house, not theirs. They're there as temporary entity.
Yeah. And you know, Emery, you mentioned like a lack of people in classes. This is why. The fear of the FBI. Nobody wants to come because they're afraid that everyone's a Fed. That's why I've been going around everybody's classes and putting out articles saying, listen, don't let them win. Go to the training, meet like-minded people, do the things, because if we don't, we are letting them get away with it, and we're emboldening them to do it even more.
It's a very good
See
point.
you in September, Emery.
Well, one of the
right.
things that I like to say is that politicians in this country, at all levels, local, state, federal, whatever, they have zero fear of the American people. And I don't mean fear of their lives, and maybe they should have some of that too, but they don't even fear their jobs, especially at this point. The last election proved that they'll get the outcome they want. So they have zero fear. And if you guys remember when Obama came into office, I like to make this point a lot. If you remember, Axelrod was on camera recorded saying that we will be ready to rule on day one. Not we'll be ready to govern, not nothing like that. We will be ready to rule on day one. And that's exactly how these people see it. They're not our representatives.
Right.
They're our betters, and they know better than we do, and we can't take care of ourselves. So therefore they
Overseers.
need to do it. Yeah, overseers. Yeah, that's it.
That's what they look. And the whole time we've got Hunter parading around, dropping bags of coke and everything else. So, I mean, they take it to the extremes both ways and smear it in everybody's faces.
Damn it, T. How many times do I have to tell you it wasn't his, it was planted?
Totally.
Yeah, it was his pants. That's my friend's pants.
It was
I
planted
borrowed these pants.
by the hooker he had
That's
over at
my
his
friend's pants that fell out of there. That bag of
Yeah.
coke.
Yeah, these ain't my pants. These was the hooker I was just doing. They're her pants.
Listen, all I got to say is make bayoneting great again. So
Make bayoneting great again.
draw your own conclusions there. So
I'll tell you
Oh,
what,
my
on that topic, I went out on one mission with a bayonet mounted on my rifle. Why, you ask? Thanks for asking. Because I had one.
there
It
you
was-
go.
Did you get to use it?
I got to take it off and turn to my major and go, okay, I'm a dumbass. But it mounted on my M4 and I had to do it. I had to do it. And I walked around and here's the embarrassing part, right? It was a demo mission. So that means that half the time when you're working, your
It's
rifle's
slung.
slung behind your back, right?
Yeah, with a blade
And-
on it.
A knee and playing with det cord and all kinds of other stuff. And your damn knife is scraping across the floor, right? So I take it off and I'm like, all right, well, I'm playing with det cord and all that anyway. I got to cut some stuff. It was such a piece of shit. It didn't even cut det cord. It was twice embarrassing.
I did the same thing, Emery. I put a bayonet on an M4, put it on my M4, stuck the stock under my arm, held the tip of the bayonet, and looked at my team and said, "This is why special forces carry pistols. Bayonets don't work." in a
Listen,
heartbeat.
though. All right, I'm going to take the Marine route here and say, listen, in Fallujah, everyone went around with bayonets fixed because when you come around a corner and a dude tries to grab your rifle, it's better that his fingers hit the ground than your rifle. So,
Yeah, fair
just
enough.
saying.
Fair enough.
Marine Corps
I hear
band-
that, but Marines also don't carry pistols. You know,
Yeah, and Emory, Marine Corps bayonets aren't like Israeli ones. The Marine Corps bayonets are sharp.
we don't.
different.
We don't. This was an American. It was an American. It was stamped U.S. Navy.
Well, it may have had been at one time.
oh, that one was rubber. If it was stamped,
It
US
was
Navy,
rubber.
Just waiting
Good
for
U.S.
that. one.
Navy. Let me let you know what it was used for. It had the scabbard on. I'll just leave it at that.
I'll tell you
It's freaking
one time, which is not much.
hilarious. It had the scabbard on. Yeah, Marine or Navy bayonets used for untying knots. It's about the only thing I could think you'd use a Navy bayonet for. All right, guys, we're going to run one more quick little promo for the after show. Remember, after this, we do On the Rocks, where we can get a little looser in what we talk about. And so we'll be doing that next. And I'll run a quick promo for that, and we'll be back in just a sec.
Hey folks, this is T, and this is Mountain Readiness.
It doesn't matter what the event is that makes this thing go pop. It's going to be water, shelter, fire, food, security. That's it. That's what you need in a nutshell.
There we go. A little Mount Readiness promo. You should come down, Joe. You should come down for that, dude.
You're the
lot
second
of
person
fun.
who told me that today. So,
I'm trying to get Matt's ass to commit to being there, and I haven't been able to get him to actually
well, if
commit.
you tell him I'm going, he might go because he likes to harass me, and I make him look good. So,
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to get you
What?
there. then-
but if Matt comes, he has to wear the Ramzan Kadyrov hat because he looks just like Ramzan Kadyrov. So
He does. He does look just like him. And I never made that connection until you just said it. And oh yeah, I'm going to give him hell over that one now.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. The
Oh, yeah. His
Kadyrov of the
contract was-
Appalachians. So
Yeah, NC Scout, commandant of the TikTok army. Because those guys love making videos that they're out doing things in combat, but they're usually so far removed from combat, it's laughable. I was watching
I
one
like
video
where
that they were making. I was watching
he
one they were
stopped
making.
praying in a
and-
gas station, right? He's praying in a
Yeah.
gas station. I'm like, what is that?
I saw one where they're doing a video of them in combat. There's nobody around, and you can see from some of the other camera angles that showed up. But they actually took one of their own guys out with backblast from an RPG. He walked behind an RPG gunner and got smoked. And I thought that was hilarious. Oh, anyway, so
I know
Joe,
somebody
what-
that might.
Joe,
do something
tell
like
us
that.
why you use the Christian Crusader symbol as your on your
Well,
book and on your T-shirt.
I'm glad you asked that. So it's the Jerusalem cross, and I chose it because when the Christians ruled Jerusalem, it was the first time ever that there was religious freedom allowed. Right? They allowed people of every faith to practice their faith without attacks, without special rules, and without having to be slaves. So I felt that that's an ideal that we have enshrined in our Constitution, and I really felt that logo would really touch what I was trying to do with Tactical Wisdom. And what I've been doing with it is trying to take stories from the Bible. A lot of people think it's an old book of rules, but if you actually go in and read the Old Testament and read some of the Apocrypha, you'll find that there's some Lord of the Rings class adventure stories in there of men standing up against all odds when they needed to take back their rights, defend their people, and restore morality. And I kind of felt that spoke to the moment we were in. And this logo of being that shield that allows the freedom behind it was really, really something I wanted to convey. And that's why it's featured on the front of every single book. It's on my website. I sell these shirts, and I just want people to understand that freedom has to be defended with a shield. And that means an active role, and it means doing whatever it takes. So I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, and
That's
I did it to rub it into one of the panelists there above you there. So
Well, I
We
wasn't
can
going to
open
go
up
there,
some
but
discussion.
listen, I also teach Krav Maga, so we're cool. We're all right.
Oh, do you
Yeah.
now? Okay. Nice.
Yeah. What's the other discipline you teach, Joe?
Tung Sudo. It's a Korean martial art that is everything Taekwondo wishes it could be, but isn't. Actually, Taekwondo and Tung Sudo started from the same place,
So
and
fighting.
Taekwondo went all sports, and Tung Sudo remained its combat aspects. So
Nice. Nice.
So
And
does that mean
you're
still
destroyed.
high kicking and all that? Because I'm
We
not
still do
familiar
high
with that.
kicking and strong blocks, but not as many high kicks, right? So if you look at Taekwondo, it's 90% feet and 10% hands. Tung Sudo retains the 50-50 hands and feet.
Cool.
Practice. Every time I got into the ring with the Taekwondo guy, it was, you already knew. First one, it's kick. The kick right out of the gate. Kick.
Get inside. If you get inside kicking range, they're useless. They can't do anything. So stay close.
It's kick every time. It's like watching a burlesque show. All the ladies line up, feet kicking back and forth all night long.
Yeah, actually, it's all kicking line dancing at a Taekwondo tournament. So go right ahead.
Kicking line dancing.
Not my thing.
Those principles, by the way, Joe, you bring up a point that's interesting to make as generalizations, right? As broad of a comment of a statement as you can make in terms of hand-to-hand combat. Sometimes being able to have broad statements like that helps, right? In the sense of, if you're at largo mano, right, the distance of hand where each person reaches their arm out and your hands essentially cross, that's your kicking distance, right? So you have distances for everything. It's the exact same thing in gunfighting, knife fighting, everything else, right? And and it's interesting that you say that. Of course, you're also a Krav Maga guy, right? What if somebody uses a distance weapon on you? What's your best tool? Right, get inside of that distance.
Get inside that range, yeah.
And vice versa, of course.
Yeah, you've either got to be inside the arc of the weapon or outside the arc of the weapon, and you
Or
can't inflict
outside
damage
the arc
from-
of the weapon.
Yeah,
And then you
range
have
of
to
power.
use a weapon for the appropriate distance that you have now closed or opened, right?
But that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
either from outside the arc of the weapon, you can't inflict damage. So you got to grab me by the belt buckle and get face to face inside the arc of the weapon if you want to do some damage. So
Well,
and that
and that
works
goes
again,
in-
like you just
that-
said. Well, if it's a gun, a blade, a hand, or a bat, inside or outside the arc, that's where you live. So
Well, like you said, Chris, the belt buckle. That's what Giap used to tell his North Vietnamese fighters. He's like, when
Yep.
they have air,
That's
when
the
they have air
Vietnamese thing.
cover,
Grab the belt.
you hug the
buckle.
belt. You get right up next to the Americans, so they can't call in airstrikes. So yeah,
Yep.
it goes like Emery said, the full spectrum from hand to hand all the way up into actual tactics on the battlefield.
I'll tell you, the Marine Corps teaches us that martial arts begins at 500 meters with a rifle, right? And it just gets better from there. So
it just gets better from there.
I like that.
Yeah,
And that's why you take Marines with you anywhere you go.
right on, right on.
that's right.
Come on, buddy. I brought a lunchbox. We're gonna have fun.
Are there crayons in it?
That's France. You'll like the reference in the next book, Joe. There's two in there you'll get a kick out of. One of them being along those lines, and one of them being something else we talked about before. I think it's pretty funny myself, the way I do that. You'll dig it though. We're making we're adding Sad Ham to literary history. Let's just say that. So.
I think I remember us having this conversation over a whiskey. I think I do recall this. Yes.
Yeah. Sad ham is a thing that's going to be enshrined in literature from now on. So I hate calling what I do literature, but that's what fucking books are. So deal with it. But
That's
Listen,
why I tell
don't
my
care if the
little
world
brother.
has collapsed. You better comply with FCC regulations.
that's dude. Wait till you read it, man. It is so funny. Wait till you read it. Yeah. So you
That's
guys
why I
don't
tell
know.
my little brothers. I tried to join the Marine Corps, but my ASVAB scores were too high, so they wouldn't let me go. So
Well, I tell everyone I couldn't join the army because both of my parents were married and to each other. So
and to each other.
I will say this, you see behind me, Joe, I got the whole SF symbol and tactical rifleman, but if you really look, if you read the book, it's actually during Thomas Jefferson's time, but if you look at what the Marines did in Libya, there just a few Marines and hired 1,000 Arabs and marched all the way from what is now Egypt over to Libya. It's just it's an incredible story on the it's about the ship Philadelphia that got captured by Muslim pirates over there. So great story. But they did the first true SF mission in military history. If you really want to get that,
they did train their local militia and storm the walls. Yeah.
Yep. Got the crew back.
We got to make
Of course, they burned the ship, but that's that's Marines.
That's Marines.
Whoops. Little overkill. Oh, well.
The next morning, no more hot plates.
I guarantee you there was some bayoneting that went on, though. I guarantee you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, we have to make the Sad Ham t-shirts a reality. That's got to happen for sure.
Yeah, you know what? My wife already made me a rainbow Ramadan one, which was awesome.
Rainbow Ramadan.
Took all the rainbow colors, and it said Rainbow Ramadan, and I wore it all of Rainbow Ramadan. So next year we may sell that during Rainbow Ramadan.
That is hilarious.
Don't call it Pride Month ever again. Call it Rainbow Ramadan, because that's what it really is, right? And so we're going to make that ham shirt, I think. Yeah,
I'm writing that down. Rainbow Ramadan.
Rainbow Ramadan.
T, we need stacks of those T-shirts at the fallout.
You can see what I can do.
Yeah, that might be a thing, Joe. We might need to bring a bunch of those down to fallout.
You know what? If I can convince Mrs. JD that I'm allowed to go to this thing, because she's really in charge here, I will bring a round of Rainbow Ramadan T-shirts. Yeah,
please do. Please do. We need that.
Great idea.
I need that in my life.
I'll buy 5 of them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, sold. You get pre-orders. You have to come now.
Right? All right.
And Corey, you have to sit over there quietly because nobody called for Cass, and so we don't really need you guys. So
the Chair Force, there is not a job in the Air Force you can't do from a chair. So.
I was going to go the other route and say, hey, look, quit ragging on the Air Force guys. You guys are a bunch of assholes. The Air Force is an excellent alternative for military service.
That's exactly what I said. I was standing in line at Tractor Supply the other day, and this guy's like, "Hey, you look like a veteran." I said, "I am." He goes, "I'm an Air Force veteran." And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, I was in the military. I'm sorry, sir." And there's like 3 guys behind him just laughing. They knew exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, I was in the military.
On Twitter, you can always guess who was in either the Navy or the Air Force because they'll say, when I was in the military. They didn't say when they were in the Army, when they were in the Marine Corps. When I was in the military, Navy or Air Force every single time.
Yeah, I had a guy argue with me one time about something over weapons online, and he told me that he said, "Look, I know what I'm talking about. I taught sailors how to shoot." And I just laughed so hard. And I'm like, that's like teaching Girl Scouts to shoot, dude. Like, they don't shoot, they don't have rifles, they have Marines on their boats because they know they can't trust sailors with rifles. Yeah. And that's for all you naval guys out there. So,
yeah.
I was hanging out with Kyle once. We went, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was hanging out with Kyle Gahagan. We were in a hardware store and someone come up to him and asked him if he served. And then they asked him, they said, "What branch was it?" Army Reserve. They asked him, "Were you a reservist?" And that just killed Kyle. I mean, the guy, he's like 280 pounds of solid muscle.
Yeah.
And were you a reserve guy? And he's like, no, I actually was not. And it made him so mad he just stormed off. Delta Tier 1 guy getting smacked in the face like that.
Were you a reservist? Oh my God.
Were you a reservist is what the guy asked him.
That is too funny. Let me see.
Yeah, I will admit with Russ. So Russ is over here writing on the side. Wait till you need close air support. And I will say this: that,
I'll tell you. I was just going to tell the chat. All you Air Force guys in the chat, Russ is given as good as he's getting in the private chat between us. So Russ is striking back to the Air Force over here.
Yeah.
And we'll give Russ credit. He did one of the only jobs in the Air Force you could do. You need to do out of a chair most of the time. They still ride in a car a lot. But he was security police in the Air Force, so he was a cop in the Air Force.
Oh, you know what? When I was I was a military policeman, and we trained at the Air Force Military Police School. So,
Russ, good job being in the Air Force. I have one thing to tell you. One thing. You ready? Blue jeans. Blue jeans. You don't keep blue jeans in your go bag, buddy. You're in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, if only you guys could see
Hard to
Russ.
explain, but I had to throw that at you, Russ.
Yes, I
love you.
remember.
Blue Jeans.
Yep. Russ is giving you the double-handed salute. Blaine Pardo in the house. What up, brother?
Blaine
What is going
Pardo.
on, Blaine? There's another great author. If you guys are looking for books, look him up. He writes some great stuff.
I will tell you what, his Blue Dawn series is literally
Yeah.
where we're headed.
Yeah, and it's scary the way he handles things in that book with the social enforcement and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's not a stretch to go back to what we were talking about earlier, two-tier justice system, all this sort of shit. I could perfectly well envision a world where the left takes over and they have things like social enforcement, that are
I know
quasi
you know,
law enforcement,
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube, but if y'all want to know my favorite page of the Blue Dawn series, it's page 6 of book 1, and we'll leave it at that.
Page 6 of book 1.
Someone has a stroke, something happens to someone else. We all know who they are. But anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I've read it.
I tell you what, I'm all about social enforcement. As long as one thing happens, you have to choose to be in that system. You can inhabit the same place, but you have to choose to place. If you want to live under those rules, cool, live under them. I'm not gonna, I'm not cool with that. So I'll give you an example of where that kind of works. Malaysia. How's that for an example, right? Malaysia, you have your Muslim, police for the Muslims, and everybody else can go to the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah,
country.
when I was in the French Foreign Legion, that's one of the funniest things. It was my job because I was usually the biggest guy running around Marseille or there in Calvi, Corsica, and we'd go to the bar and we'd stack up our little white hat, the kepi blanc. We'd stack them up in a pyramid, and it was my job to go to the door and say "Tout les Arabes dehors." All the Arabs out, because Arabs weren't supposed to drink, and if they argued with you, then we just started throwing them out of the bar.
I like it. You were your own morality
Why would
police
I?
for them. You were just helping them comply with their
Yeah, you
God's
got to comply
instructions.
with your own religion. You're not supposed to drink. Get out of the bar.
That's funny.
Nice.
We're helping you out to be good Muslims.
No comment.
Said no
Well, that's what
comment.
we did along the road in Nasiriyah too. But anyway,
Yeah. And maybe in Rumble we can talk about just that one line that for Emery. I'm not going to do it here, of course, Emery, but that one line for you that cracks me up. And every now and then I got to tell that one because it makes me laugh so damn hard. And
I don't even know
we'll
what-
broach it on Rumble. We won't do it
Is
here.
it
If Emery wants to
I made
play.
that I regretted immediately saying on the internet.
Oh no, I don't think you regretted this at all. No, you're pretty proud of it when you said it, and I still think you are. So, but I'll tell it if you'll let me. I'll even text you first because it's great.
Okay.
That
Oh,
makes-
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Every time I think about it, I laugh my ass off. Emery being Israeli, he's a big fan of Arabs. Big fan of Arabs. So
I imagine.
So yeah.
So come hang out with me in Dearborn one night. We'll have a good time.
Oh, that's a whole other breed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother. On
we'll
September
see what
11th, I
weather's
was an angry man in that town. So I will tell you that. So
Yeah, I don't understand how stuff like this happens. It's starting to happen here, Europe. There's places where, they're getting a drink of their own medicine here in a second, and there's I try, politically speaking, I try to kind of, I kind of run the middle for the most part as I can. What's been going on here the last couple of years has not enabled anybody to be on, kind of in the middle, right? The majority of people here in the States, I believe, are, relatively balanced in the middle people, and that's the people nobody hears, right? But everybody's been driven to one side or the other now, and being too far to either side is not healthy, right?
Nope.
And I think Europe's about to get is getting a very rude awakening, Western Europe, to the consequences of having gone too far with the I love you stuff. Too far.
Yeah, they're starting to pay that price big time. Sweden is having a huge problem with them right now, like
Sweden,
epically huge
Denmark,
problem.
France,
Yep.
England.
I mean, all of these countries now have no-go zones where
Holland, Belgium.
you can't go
Spain.
to, unless you're a Muslim.
There's subdivisions in London where they practice Sharia law. That's it. Bobbies can't even, the Bobbies can't even get into that part of the town. Yeah.
And they're just allowing it to happen.
Don't get me wrong, right? I believe, just like all of you, just like I'm sure every person watching this, in the Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of belief, right? That's what that is. And whatever you want to believe, brother, I got your back. As long as you're not pushing it down anybody else's throat, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, let's
Well
take a quick
said.
minute
I
to
mean,
do our giveaway real
yeah.
quick, guys, because we're winding up on this thing
Yeah,
here.
Chris, give that book away.
Let's do that. Let's all right. Russ, can you run that? Because I don't even know where the hell to find that little tool at. Thank God I got people that help me out. Well, we started to. There we go.
Why not?
Third time's a charm. There it goes. Well, or
Nope.
not. I don't know what the hell's going on. Who's clicking shit? Somebody got a stuck mouse? Oh, shit. All right. Emmett and Kelly won. Awesome. All right. Well, I will get you in contact with him, Joe, and we'll get the book out to him.
Cool.
Matt and Kelly, good members of our community. They're everywhere we go. They show up all the time, and they're running a homestead in Western North Carolina. Ham radio operators. They're doing all the things. So I just want to remind everybody, next week is Walt Browning will be on. We'll have Walt on from the Charlie's Requiem series. And coming up, we don't have a date yet, but I'm going to put this out there for you guys now. We will have Duke Fontaine on the show. The narrator of my audiobooks will be coming on the show. You're not going to be able to see him, but you're going to be able to hear him, which would be cool. And we'll do a little thing, too. I'll put a post up on Facebook leading up to that so you guys can ask questions that I'll then ask him on the show on your behalf. So, Joe, where can they folks find you at? What do you got coming up? What do you want to point them at? The whole thing.
All right.
Shameless
You
plug.
can find me at tactical-wisdom.com. You can find me on Twitter at the top of whatever dumpster fire is going on. But
Usually,
it's at DolioJ, DOLIOJ. And you can also find me on Locals. I have a Tactical Wisdom Locals community. I'm here on YouTube as Tactical Wisdom. This Sunday, for folks who are local to Michigan, I will be kind of running things at the Michigan Preparedness Picnic in Fenton, an all-day event. I'm going to be teaching a class there on communications, and I'm going to be on a panel about the Second Amendment and about building a mutual assistance group. So come on out, and I'll be at, if you're going to one of Matt's classes in the next 2 months, you're probably going to see me at it. So we do a lot of cross-training because we're just trying to get a lot more people through and get a lot more people aware and ready for bad times ahead.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you being here tonight. T, you got anything you want to
Oh,
close
you know
out
what?
with?
Scott wants me to say, I'm sorry. Scott wants me to say, you can find us on the Council on Future Conflict every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. right here on YouTube. There we go.
I'm going to try to be on Fridays this week. I'm finally finished the
come
final
on.
read of my book, the final pass, and I'm done now. And when I get close to the end, when I get a little neurotic and I can't do shit other than work on it. So, but it's done. It's actually off to the editors now. So T, you got anything you want to close with, man?
Just, with what we've been talking about, those higher powers that be are trying to censor us. They want us to be their servants. We can't be scared. And some people are going to be made an example. And Trump is being made an example now. And if it can happen to him, it can happen to us. But at the end of the day, it's strength in numbers.
Absolutely. And there's the Patreon for you guys that are asking. Emery, what do you got, bro?
I got the same thing as every week. Stay American and bring people together. I hate being that guy to say it over and over, but that's what we have to do. We have to do it. We have to do it.
You forgot chlamydia.
I never forget chlamydia, Sue.
You seeing her again? You seeing her again, Emery?
Chlamydia is something you don't forget. Yeah.
She leaves a mark. Sue, what do you got besides chlamydia?
I'm just hoping to get back on my feet. I got my cousin, the doctor here. He's gonna check me over and everything. We're just making sure that I can get back out there and get going again. I don't know what kind of tick bit me, but I hope we figure it out. But I
Yeah.
just want to tell everybody to stay strong out there and don't give up.
All right, guys.
Tommy ticks.
What kind of zombie ticks? Yeah. You get
No,
some of that
Tommy.
Lyme's
Those
disease?
communist ticks got him.
Oh, commie ticks. Oh, I thought
Those
some
Tommy
zombie.
ticks got him.
Yeah.
It could be one of those two.
I
So
got
you
bit
guys
by, got
go
bit by a
ahead.
liberal. Got bit by
A
a
liberal.
liberal. Yeah.
I got bit by a liberal.
So now all I want to do is sit around and play Xbox and not do nothing.
Good Lord. Well, you guys, you can catch us over on, you can go through my Patreon page. You can join for $1. You can put in any amount you want. You don't have to check a box. And then you can watch these lives there as well. We also do lives Tuesday nights on Patreon for those members there. And there's some cool stuff coming up. You guys will be seeing it here pretty quick. Articles and news story just for Patreon. With that, guys, you know the drill. Be good or be good at it. And we will catch you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Hanging up over here.